First of all, I'm very excited to say good morning to everyone who is joining us from far and near. And those of you who are near and are possibly anywhere close to Toronto, I hope you're enjoying this freezing cold day and this snowstorm, which I sent a picture of to Sven, who I know is on the call this morning. But I'm very excited to take you all somewhere unexpected. Rich, could you share your screen, please?
Crickets, crickets, crickets.
I know, it always happens. It's technology. That's the funny part of what we're talking about today. As my camera seems to split. All right, let's play this, Floris. Let's go. You give the answer. Who is this?
Oh, geez, football. I have absolutely no knowledge about this topic. Play the Droodles. Can we play the Droodles?
No, we're going to play this. Come on.
He is a representative of Nike. Oh, that's not one of the
Okay,
others.
good. Richie will pick one. All right, let's play another one.
We
Just
should
guess,
play we should play in the Casino.nl environment.
This we should have, but we're just playing this right now. Rich,
it looks the same, just different colors.
Again, we took people on somewhere unexpected. Thanks, Rich. This is an example of what I think is absolutely key. It's innovation doesn't always shout. That's what we're talking about today. Sometimes it whispers, huh, that's interesting. And that's what happened together with Casino.nl and with the Digital Wellness Center. We didn't build a breakthrough. We actually stumbled into one. And today we're going to show you together how literally a forgotten link quietly turned into a frontline advantage. And given everything that's going on, we all need a frontline advantage. In fact, what you just saw was a game we haven't released yet. It's just in test mode. And we believe that all of these micro breaks we've created, the short videos, the binaural beats, the droodles that Floris just talked about, are most likely the future of responsible gaming. They're not a lecture. They're not a warning. They're a micro break and a choice. Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Mary Donohue. I am the CEO and the founder of the Digital Wellness Center. Welcome to Set It and Forget It. And today we're telling the story of what happens when you stop over-engineering, stop thinking you're going to have time to do everything, and start offering relief to your clients. Floris and I were thrilled to be able to present this for peer review back at the end of February, early March, at the Michigan Academy of Arts, Sciences, and Letters. And we had wonderful feedback from our peers, and we have included that in today's discussion. But, you know, talking about relief, talking about fun, it is my great pleasure to introduce Floris Assies. Floris, good morning. Floris runs and founded Better World Casinos, and he's also marketing for Casino.nl. Floris, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit, give us a brief introduction of yourself and your relationship with Casino.nl, and a little bit about how all of this started.
Yes. Well, good afternoon, everybody who's in Europe on my side of the big water. Thank you for the introduction, Mary. What should I add? I've been, Better World Casinos is a different thing. We're not talking about that today. I run a content marketing, digital marketing agency called Coherentes, and I've been working together with Casino.nl for a couple of years. And we got introduced last year via our common friend Sven, and asked if I was up for an interesting experiment. And I love experiments, especially in this very saturated, very competitive market or industry of casino affiliation. And if you want to stand out, then you need to do things new. So I'm always on the lookout. So I jumped on the opportunity. And since I've learned a lot about dopamine and well, from my good friend now, Dr. Mary, So it's been a great time, and we had very surprising, good, positive experience data that we're gonna talk about today. So very excited to be part of it. Thank you.
You know what? That's a great way to jump in. Let's just start at the beginning. Both of us have a tendency to want to change the world. We want to rescue everybody. We want to make sure everybody is safe and healthy. And I think I would safely say the huge majority on this call feel exactly the same way. We want to protect people. We want to create a seatbelt for people so that they can enjoy gambling, but that they enjoy gambling safely, which I think is being discussed all over the world right now. So when we were first talking, what did you really expect from traditional responsible gaming? Did you what were you thinking of?
So there are, of course, different ways of looking at it, but from the affiliate perspective, yeah, our toolbox was very empty. We had some tools for educating, for explaining what is responsible gambling, what are the risks, what is addiction, and fact is that these are generally the less visited pages on an affiliate website. In that sense, maybe it's more compliance than. But then, since 2 years, I'm leading the strategy of Casino.nl, and we decided to really focus on responsible gambling. We want to be the most responsible gambling affiliate. And so the possibility of adding something to that toolbox was very exciting. And then when you started to explain a bit what it is and how it works, I was, well, honestly, quite skeptical to see if it actually would work. But like I said, I love to experiment and gather data. And so we went for it. And initially very ambitious. We wanted to do a lot, but as we will further discuss in this talk later, it's not always as you want it to go.
No, life never happens the way you planned, but it happens. And I think what's key here is I loved that you were skeptical. You were willing to say, there's no way this is going to work. And as an entrepreneur, but more as an innovator and from a psychological perspective, really, I love hearing that, because then it's an opportunity for me to say to somebody, well, this is actually science, and this is why it works every single time. And that's why we could present to such a wonderful academy of business professors and psychologists and people that just were like, wow, okay, this is a great idea. But when we were at first skeptical, what did you think was going to happen when we just started out with a link? Because I know we wanted to start out with pop-ups. We wanted to start out with a number of different things, but we got approval to start out with a link. And we'll talk about that process in a second. But what were your expectations?
Well, as an affiliate, you only have the player for a short amount of time on your page. And so the common thought is that you want to maximize that time, and you do not want to lead them away from your website because you want to convert them. So for an affiliate to lead your traffic away from your site is not intuitive. It's something that people think like, why don't do that? That's dangerous. That might hurt your bottom line. But we did it anyway, and the least intrusive way, because I have full control of the content of the site. So adding a link wasn't that hard. For all the other stuff, I would need permission and tech team involvement. And this was just pretty easy. I thought like, let's just do it. We created some content. We added the link. Then later on, we added some more links. That was the second phase that we did. But by my expectations, not much. I was just like, okay, let's wait and see what happens.
Exactly. So we had no promo, no real integration. And yet, Rich, if you wouldn't mind sharing that chart, we saw 118% in growth. And this was clearly the accidental innovation, because I really was hoping that we could do the pop-ups, that we could do this, that we could do that we could blah, blah, blah. Like, I was really excited. And then you said, oh, we're going to put on a link. And I was like, are you kidding me? A link? How is this going to work? I felt a little like those, when I was at Walmart, it was when I first started this idea of building a website like Amazon was doing and selling groceries, and how that was going to tear the brand apart and it would never work. And we all, both of us, and the team at DWC was like, no, we need to have a pop-up. We need to have the timing. And we were 100% wrong. And as you can see here, when we begin to look at the data, this is just like how it just amazingly grows. And what we're seeing is these high NPS scores, which builds trust in brand. And I remember the first time I called you with the data, and you're like, no way, that can't be our data. Those were your exact words. Something's wrong. Oh, you're on mute by accident, Floris.
Oh, sorry.
I remember that call. It was in December, early December, because we launched end of November. And you were just like, no, you're wrong. And I had to show you the data. I said, yeah, we were right. We were literally
I mean,
building.
I've expected some clicks for sure. People are curious, but that many, oh. So yeah, very positive surprise.
And what
And
was
then there
even
was more.
better? Pardon me?
And then there was more people. Tell them more, give them all.
And then there was more, and then there was more, and then there was more. Thanks, Rich. Thanks for sharing that table. And I think what's really important there is that there's always a button that they can click back. Most of the customers who were engaged with this simple link would click back, so allaying those fears of, oh, we're going to lose our customers. But what's more important is the majority of your customers, over, I think, somewhere in the area of 76%, were happy. You created a happy customer. And as a marketer, what does that mean? Like, how does that help your business?
Yeah, and this is where it gets very interesting for me because so I've been doing SEO and content marketing from the affiliate space since 2017. And since that, the toolbox is pretty limited. It used to be you just drop content on your site, you get a bunch of backlinks, and then pretty much you would be able to, if you do it smart and correct, then you could start creating a revenue. But a lot have changed, especially since 2020, and the Google algorithm has been not very nice for affiliates. It's also because a lot of affiliates, they are notorious for exploiting SEO and not necessarily providing the best user experience, but just tricking the system and getting people to the site. So Google would like, okay, how can we circumvent it? So they penalized a lot of affiliates and made other things like building brand and returning visitors and social signals and engagement signals more important. And that's exactly what this does. People have a positive experience with the brand. They remember the brand. They come back. It improves trust. So it will only makes them more likely to convert on our website. And something that's been very important in our strategy, returning visitors. I mean, especially with the domain name like Casino.nl, it's just easier to type in Casino.nl into the address bar of your browser than is to go to Google, type in casino, and then see a search result, and then have to choose. So obviously that all makes perfect sense if we can build this brand through this way. And even, okay, we do lead them away from the website. But like you said, they have a positive experience with the brand. They might recognize it. They might become more top of mind. And they next time might just come straight back to Casino.nl and not first search in the search algorithm and then have to compete with everybody else in the SERP. So yeah, it just makes perfect sense.
And I love that they came back from the game to Casino.nl. That's another important factor. We give them autonomy. And that leads really nicely into the science. And we spent a lot of time on this. And then I think we should just, with me, you can't go anywhere without talking a little bit about the neuroscience or the digital psychology behind this.
No, we should educate more people about this. It's essential. It's very good to know.
From a proactive mental health perspective, what everybody needs to understand, and what we've been talking to CTOs about, CFOs about, CEOs about, is it makes you money when you make your clients happy. That's a basic principle. It makes you more money when you make your clients happy and you keep them safe. If you look at the outside research, let's not look at gambling research, but let's look at the research in general, as we did for our literature review. Bain, Deloitte, McKinsey, everyone's talking about how to keep a customer and what do you do to keep your customers safe. Well, in terms of gambling, dopamine drops during losses and stress rises. Your dopamine goes high. What we see with traditional tools is that they scold, they say, hey, here's a warning. Oh, you might be in trouble. You might be getting more things. The problem with Gen Z, and we talked about this, and we talked about it in my book and previous research, is especially men, and this is who you were dealing with, Gen Z men, 24 to, I think, 30, is they don't respond to that. They'll just go somewhere else. They leave you. You lose a customer. So if you look at how much it takes to acquire that customer, the minute you start with scolding, naughty, naughty, responsible gaming, they depart. And so what we found, though, is they're incredibly hungry for self-soothing tools in terms of the gambling world. And that's not something we've thought of. How can you give the client permission to self-soothe? How can you give the client permission to say, hey, not scolding, not anything, just saying, this is a tool for you. Would you say, for example, with pairs, we found that customers were playing the pairs and going back to sites, playing the pairs and going back to sites, different way. With faces, the game we started with, that had the highest NPS score, but they stayed on it the longest. And with Droodles, people became incredibly competitive to get to the top of the leaderboard, which was fun. I know that you are pretty good at Droodles. A person I was doing Droodles with this morning was not good at Droodles. But what is that? Like when you're talking about the Gen Z consumer, is this a good plan for Gen Z consumers?
I think absolutely. What I really also, besides everything you just said, what I also really like is that to empower the player themselves and make it a positive thing. It's so much about intervention and, like you said, scolding and telling them what not to do. Now we're going to tell them what to do and to play smart. Do a warm up. You came up with all these sport analogies, which which resonate with people, because obviously, who doesn't want to be smart or think they're doing something smart by doing something? And so we have the CTAs or the so we added the link next to the CTA, and we use different texts. Some were like take a warm up, or control your dopamine, or just play a Droodle. And obviously they didn't know what a Droodle was, so it would either be curiosity or and that's what made people click on it. And that empowerment, I think, is very refreshing to, like I said, to the toolbox that I've been referring to. It was always either educating or intervening, and now we have something new to add. And obviously, I mean, I know this was originally planned for operators, but I think we show a pretty good case that this can also work for affiliates for different reasons.
Well, and the affiliate industry is, to me, a really wonderful place to experiment because you're not regulated in the same way. But very shortly, who knows, you could be regulated in the same way. We don't know what's going to happen with regulators, and we've spent a lot of time talking to them. And talking to them about optimization, as you just said, not restriction. And we know we work in less than 3 minutes. We see how much time people play on the game and then they go back. But you yourself know when you have a positive experience with a brand, you tend to be and enjoy the brand more. So I'm not great at marketing, but let's talk a little bit about more of the marketing. And you were hinting at it earlier, and you talked about that first touch impact. What about do you see this as a loyalty building tool, not just a responsible gaming tool, because of it building trust so quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder, again, for it being a real responsible gambling tool, either we would have to implement it in ways that we were discussed earlier, but we were restricted, so we couldn't. We only did the adding the link to the website. Maybe later on we will talk about all the other ideas that we had. But the trust building and the brand recognition and just showing them something else, showing the player something else has many positive side effects.
Well, and you know, all the other things we were going to do, let's talk a little bit about that, because as we reported in Michigan, our biggest roadblock is technology officers, chief technology officers, because they don't want us interrupting their stack. They don't want anything to move the player anywhere. They don't want to put the resources on this. I'm sure everybody involved in responsible gaming here knows exactly what we're talking about. That's how we ended up with trying just a link, because we wanted to see how this would work. And again, it worked great. But what, again, with this same old school exec, in the same way they resisted e-commerce, what do you feel you would say to them now? And with all the cool ideas we had, how do we get them engaged with that once we start seeing trust is building, customers happy, all the things that you want marketing to do?
Well, I think that together with when we show them the recording of this presentation and the ones that we did for the Michigan University, we'll able to convince them more and then allocate some budget and let us experiment more. Yeah, it just, like you said, it's the technical, it's so not intuitive to get people, direct them away from your site, which is not the point where you're actually converting them. That and yeah, the higher, this is, I think, people recognize it in all organizations. The higher you get up in a hierarchy, the more people get protective of their position and afraid of making mistakes and doing things wrong. So they are obviously very hesitant to trying something new. And I guess this was the advantage of me as being an external consultant and yeah, not always asking permission, just doing things. That was the advantage of us being able to do this. The other stuff, yeah, let's just touch a bit on the other things that we wanted to do. So we thought, like, okay, let's just start with the link, and then we can add pop-ups when they want to leave the site or when they're playing one of the demo games for free after like 2 minutes, like at a reminder, because then they're actually playing. So then they could notice the difference in dopamine and how it would balance, would level out. And we were thinking of building like a browser extension or maybe a mobile app that we could prompt them and remind them to play the game at different hours. For example, like, okay, normally you play your games between 8 and 10 in the evening. Then, okay, between 8 and 10 in the evening, we're allowed to prompt you 2 times at randomly. And then, of course, also do it in a branded way and remind people like, okay, now you've been, maybe there's, you could link it to other forms of marketing and yeah, just have an excuse to engage with your player. So all those things, we had a huge list of things that we want to do, which we didn't do because no budget, no no resources available to implement all those things. So after 4 months, we were just still, and now still, so it's been since November, it's just a link and people still click on it. We just did some posts talking about you, the Digital Wellness Center, and the importance of responsible gambling, relating it to this project. And yeah, it still gets traffic.
Like, we didn't do the traditional marketing things. We didn't build a funnel. We didn't build a funnel. The tool did it for us. Customers clicked, they self-regulated, they came back, they converted. It's totally just one of those aha moments we had. Now, I just got a ping from
Sounds too good to be true.
like, it was just like, wait, what? How does this work? I remember exactly where I was sitting when I was looking at the data and did like a little, whoa, customers really want this. My
Of course you
research
do.
was right for affiliates. So a friend just sent me a note who's watching, and he asks, this is for you, not for me. What made you trust that customers would engage with something so simple? And go ahead and put questions in the chat, by the way, anybody. We have 5 more minutes. So
I
Floris,
didn't
what made
trust
you
it.
trust?
I didn't trust it, but I was like, okay, you know what? If we see it goes very wrong, we just remove it from the site. Let's just do it.
Just boom, wholehearted.
Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, I guess that answers the question, right?
He has another one. Well, let me just make sure I'm reading it right. How do you think, well, how do you think this approach compares to traditional gambling tools in terms of long-term impact?
I don't know if I'm the expert on that because again, I'm not on the operator side. I'm not really monitoring player behavior and see how it affects on the long term. I could speculate about it, but that's not very scientific. And I'm with you, Dr. Mary, so I have to be scientific. Can I give my opinion?
Well, You know, I think it's just like every single other innovation we're seeing now. We're dealing with a generation that grew up on technology. And so they're looking for solutions that are in technology. And they know when they're stressed out on technology. We have to give consumers some credit. They know what's going on. And so what we know is if you can shift people's moods quickly, if you can make them happy quickly, and this has been for thousands of years, people have known this in sales, you know that you're going to build trust with consumers. And that's where I think we see higher return rates, which is something people want in all businesses, and definitely higher customer satisfaction. Oh, here's an interesting question. People can put it in the chat too, but right now everybody's emailing me. How do you see differences in engagement between different types of micro breaks like droodles and faces? I think we just talked about this a little bit. Do you want to talk about this?
No, that's the data side. I'll leave that completely in your very capable hands.
Well, essentially what we're beginning to theorize is people are using droodles when they're high stress. People are using pairs when they're a little less stressed. But we know that on pairs, they continue to play for up to 19 minutes, where droodles, they play under 3 minutes. In faces, it's the quickest game. They play for 1.5 minutes. Their needs are satiated and they move on. I think we have time for one more super quick question. I'll see if I have any other emails. Oh, yeah. What was the best part?
What was the best part?
What
That
was
people
the
actually
best part?
use
That's
it.
just a simple question.
The best part, well, I guess that was that call in December that you said, like, we have actually people using this. That was a funny call.
It was. I remember the WhatsApp. And I knew it was late at night for you, and I was still like, you had to know, you had to know. Floris, thank you today. I always like to make sure that we end on time. What are any final thoughts you have on this project for any of the marketers or the responsible gamers listening?
Well, obviously, I don't want to advise other affiliates to do this because we want to keep a competitive advantage for our clients. No, but seriously, I think the affiliate side of the gambling business hasn't been involved enough for too long when it comes to responsible gambling. We've seen that we're trying to educate the player, but obviously this is not a popular thing to read, and the consumer or the player can already read it on the operator website, so why would they read it on the affiliate? So again, I think this is a great thing to add to the toolbox. And yeah, I hope our results enable us to let us convince the others in the tech team to say, like, okay, let's just do some more, try more, and see where it leads us, and extend this this project that we've been working on, and get some more data.
Well, I think you've said it all. Set it, forget it, move on, get data. It's a simple, fun innovation. And I think we need a lot more of it. So thank you,
Cool.
Floris. I appreciate
No,
your
thank
time
you.
this
Love to
afternoon.
be part of it.
Take good care. Thanks for joining us today. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.